All right, welcome back to Turnbull Garage. So today I'm going to be working on a 2006 Mazda B2300. It's actually my little truck I bought a while ago, just as a commuter to get around. And this thing's got a few little maintenance things I want to do. We're going to be replacing a steering wheel, changing the oil, spark plugs, and the valve cover gasket. So let's get to it. So first thing is the steering wheel. If you look at the steering wheel, try and zoom it, there you go. The vinyl on the steering wheel has broken down and it's all just exposed rubber in a few places. It's just all nasty. So I'm gonna pull the airbag out of here, and I got a couple of used steering wheels. It's gonna be one of the two. So yeah, let's just pop this airbag out. First thing to do is remove the battery terminals. Start with the negative. So looking at the side of your steering wheel, there's a small hole. I'm gonna see if I can get my light shined in there. There's a little screw in there. Looks like it's a 7mm screw that I will get probably a nut driver to get that out. So I got a 7mm socket on the end of a ratchet, and you can easily access it. So I'll take those screws off on both sides and the airbag should slide out. So there's the airbag. You can see the threads right there. When you're undoing it, a little trick, put the steering wheel so that the screw is coming right up and down your ratchet, coming in through the bottom. That way gravity will let the screw come out with the socket. If you have your steering wheel sideways like this, the screws don't like to come out. It's just a simple connector. Just push the little tab here and the airbag will pop off. So with that, I can put my wheel back to center. Looks like there's a T50 or maybe a T45 Torx on there. We'll hit that with the impact, pop the steering wheel off, put the other one on. Okay, there's one more plug to disconnect, and that's for the horn. Looks like there's just a little tab right here that you're gonna, so we do it with one hand here. There we go. So now with those disconnected, you wanna get your steering wheel perfectly straight, and now we'll hit it with the impact and swap the steering wheels. All right, so steering wheel centered. It's a T50 Torx. It should just slide off. Maybe not. All right, so get the steering wheel off. You're going to need to get a puller. Two-jaw puller. I had to modify the jaws to get them to fit inside the holes, but now that I've got that, this should just crank right off. All right, this was actually surprisingly tight with my jaw puller, two-jaw puller. Once I got it quite tight, I gave the bolt a crack. That popped it loose, so now I'm going to make sure my steering wheel is centered. This will just slide off. There we go. Right there. All right, steering wheel's on. Push the button in for the horn. Hook up the connector to the airbag. This. There we go. Slide the airbag in. And get our two bolts. Just turn that steering wheel so the nut goes in from the bolt goes in from the bottom. And there we go. The steering wheel's replaced. So looking at the front of the motor, you can see the oil all over the front there. So the valve cover is leaking. First thing I'm going to do is soak this in some degreaser, give the motor a good clean. So next thing I'm going to do is the valve cover. Now, get to the valve cover, there's a few things I'm going to have to remove. The air plenum, and it looks like probably the whole intake manifold. I'll bring that to remove that all in one piece. There's a throttle cable, just a bunch of accessories, coil pack. We're going to be replacing the spark plugs as well. So anyway, let's just see what's involved. Right, first thing I'll do is the air hose, PVC valve hose, coil pack with the spark plug wires, and this line right here. You can see there's a 10 millimeter head screw there. I think you can get at, yeah, you can get at them through this side. Anyway, I'll just pull all those bolts off and pull this manifold back. There's 5 bolts that hold the intake manifold on. It's loose now. 2 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Get yourself a little magnet because you're probably going to either drop a socket or the bolt itself. They are in a very difficult spot to get to, and it takes some perseverance. But anyway, let's see how much room this is going to give me. What is holding it up now? Looks like there's some hoses at the back that are actually there's a wire harness that's attached here. I got to remove this wire harness that is holding it. The hole that wire loom pops into, I think that should free it up a bit more. You just need to get it up enough that we can slide that valve cover off. Actually, there's also bolts for the valve cover we gotta get to, so it does actually have to come up quite a bit. All right, what should have been really easy was not. The biggest challenge, I guess, was this EGR valve, or EGR, I think it's an EGR sensor or whatever. It's hard. So, and you have to kind of bend that out of the way to clear this right here where it goes into. So it's a bit of a bugger. Once you get that done, however, you can and disconnect. You can see there's a wire loom back there with a little press pin. There's a couple of wire looms you got to get off. Other than that, now I got the valve cover back far enough. You can see all the bolts down there. So the next thing I'll do is remove the coil pack and the plugs, and then I should be able to pull the valve cover off. All right, so with the coil pack removed, there's one, looks like it's probably a knock sensor or maybe a camshaft sensor. Let me get in here, you can see it. So there's a little tab you're gonna wanna push and pop that little screwdriver and that'll pop out. Okay, so there's another plug at the back of the valve cover, a little connector there. And yeah, now I'm at a point now where I can undo. There's also this wire loom I've got over here. There's a wire loom that goes along the side. It snaps on a couple of studs. So those got to get out of the way. So that's pushed out of the way. The intake's out of the way. Let's pop this valve cover off.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab?
All right, that is not a fun job. There's a lot. One thing with all the screws, they're captive screws, so you don't have to worry about them losing them, having them fall out. One thing to note, there are 2 bolts on the inside of the valve cover. So let's see if I can pop this thing off. Where's a spot I can pry it? coming. Wire harness is going to be a bit of a pain here. Get that out of the way. I think it's this one here. All right, so with the valve cover off, it's a good opportunity to inspect everything. Looks like the cams look nice. I don't see any issues in there. It's pretty basic. It's just a cam over a tappet. Look at the timing chain. I mean, it looks down there. Everything seems to look okay. One thing you're going to want to do is make sure you put lots of silicone on this gap right here between the timing cover and the head. Both sides, you're going to want to make sure you put silicone on that. The rest of it, I think, will be fine. So it's just a matter now of cleaning this all up with some degreaser, put the new gasket in the valve cover, and put it in. Okay, I got the new gasket installed. The old one was pretty hard. It was not as hard as what I expected. The new gaskets, however, the seal, they stick up quite a bit further than the old one. The old one was... it just wasn't working anymore. Pretty common for, I mean, this vehicle's only got 115,000 kilometers on it, but it's a 2006, so it's got quite a few years on it. The gaskets get old and hard. So I'm gonna put a couple of dabs of silicone on the seals here between the timing cover and the head, and then put this thing down. The one thing you want to be careful is that you don't dislodge any of these gaskets when you slide this one here, actually at the back, when you slide it in, because it's a bit tight. All right, that pretty much sucked, but it's on. It's just really tight, you know, for a small engine. These trucks have got 4 liters in them, and for just a little 4-cylinder, it's pretty damn tight. But anyway, the next thing I'm gonna do is pop the spark plugs out and change those. All right, here's the spark plugs that came out. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one looks kind of nasty. And what it was is there was a bit of water in the spark plug well. I washed the motor the other day to try and get some stuff off, but this has been leaking water for a while because that's kind of rusty and gross. Yeah. Anyway, we'll just gap the new plugs and put them in. All right, so spark plugs are out, and I was looking on here to see what the gap is, and it says to see the spec book. I went online and looked, and it looked like 44 thousandths of an inch is the size, and then you look at these plugs, and they clearly say right there, do not gap these plugs. They're pre-gapped, and I checked them, and they are 44 thousandths of an inch. So I guess I'll just put them in the way they are. So that'll be the next step. Okay, coil pack is on. A little plug at the very back of the motor I got on. Plug wires are all on. So next thing I'm gonna do is slip this intake manifold back into place. Okay, so that's got it all back together. A couple things I would do differently if I was to do it again. You do not have to remove any of these hoses, including this vacuum line. There's only one vacuum line you need to remove, and that's this little one here. I'm not too sure what that does, but it goes on the back of the intake manifold here. When you pull the manifold that way, it's going to be in the way. Other than that, it's just really tight, and my arms are all chewed up terribly. There's lots of sharp plastic edges. It's really not a very nice job, but now that that's done, hopefully I don't have any more oil weeping on the front of the motor. The oil is draining out of the pan right now. I'm going to change the oil filter, top this thing up with oil, and should be good to go. Okay, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Got the steering wheel replaced, changed the valve cover gasket, and changed the oil. All things this truck needed, and it does need some more. There's going to be another video probably in the spring. I need to change all 4 shocks on this truck. It really does need them badly. And something in the front end is loose. I don't know if it's an upper or lower control arm. So I went to get in there and figure out what's going on and replace that. So that's going to be in another video down the road. But for now, this thing's good to go for driving down the road, fresh oil, and it's not going to leak anymore. So yeah, thoughts and comments down below. Let me know what you think, and think about subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and have yourself a great day.